Hello. Hi. Hey, I don't even know. I can't even mention your name because Lakes. I can't mention the name. Hi, 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 hi. I see you. I see you. So let's give our people a few. I'm okay. I'm okay. Very okay. I think Maxwell is also here. So let's give ourselves like within 3 to 5 minutes, right? So that our squad will all join us, right? Yeah, I don't even want to talk about the comment section yesterday. If I tell you what I did, you laugh at me, so I'll not tell you. I'll not tell you what I did yesterday. It was something very, very funny. But yeah, I think I figured it out. So today we'll have an interactive session. So let's give ourselves a few minutes for everyone to settle in. Yes, 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 yes. I agree with you. I can see. I mean, yesterday it didn't come. It didn't come into mind. It didn't come. Right? If I had known, I would have like probably postponed it to like Wednesday, right? But I've already scheduled the thing, so it's better we have it. It's better I have it today. Then I mean, we have like 3 weeks, right? So the earlier the better. Then we can just finish and clear our hands off it. But if I had known, it didn't come to my mind. There's nobody also drew my attention yesterday. I would have just postponed it. I mean, love is important, right? So, uh, hmm, okay. Okay, so apart from, I don't know. Okay, I think a few of us are here, right? So we'll manage it like that, right? I see about 17 of us here, right? Hello. Bukari, welcome. So I think we can start, right? And then as they join, we also go on to probably as people are joining now have to go back and forth. But it's not that hard because the video will always be there for anyone who wants to catch up. But good evening once again, right? Good evening. Uh, yeah, my comments is working now, so yes. Like I said, I don't want to tell you what happened yesterday. Like they say, embarrassment is the cost of entry. So I'll not tell you what happened. All right. So let's get into it. Let's get started. Today we are looking at our Excel, right? We started yesterday. We went through a bit of hello, Kofi. We went through a bit of vocabularies and terminologies, trying to get ourselves acquainted, right? Trying to get ourselves acquainted with the platform. Today too, we are going on, right, from where we left off yesterday. Today's work, we'll be doing a bit of formatting and then we do a bit of functions, right? So a bit of formatting and then we do some, let me put it on, a bit of formatting and then we look at some of the functions as well, right? So just these two things for today. And then I remember I also dropped some short video in our classroom on how to answer questions, right? So for example, something like this work, this is how our questions will be. I'll give you the data that we'll be working with, and then at the top, or probably in another sheet, we'll have the questions, right? So what I expect you to do, or what is the normal practice, is that when you get the raw data, you are not supposed to start working on the raw data, right? You are not supposed to start working over here. What you do is you right click. So let's say this is the raw data, right? The question. So you just come to the sheet name, right? You right click on it. Yes, even that, before we even continue, I hope we have downloaded the sheet right in our Google Classroom. I remember I posted it about, is it 2 or 3 hours ago before the class, right? And then I told you guys I will be working with this data, right? So I think we all should have this. But if you don't have it, quickly go to the Google Classroom, right? And then let me bring it up so that you have a look at it. I'm trying to get that for us. Yeah, let's see. Let me get it up for us. Just a few moments. I'm trying to bring it up so that we are able to follow. So let's see. Capture. Okay, right. So I believe we can all see my browser now, right? So if you're in your classroom, yes, so these are all our classes, right? The various classes. These are all for us. We are that many, right? The classroom. I think when you go there, this is where you'll be. You'll be on the announcement page, right? Then you just navigate to the classwork, right? Once you get there, you see this topic. You not see this one. These ones we've not treated them yet, so you not see them. But you see this topic: foundations, cleaning, and then essential formulas, right? And then this one, right? This one, WD week 1 day 2 activity, right? This is what we did yesterday. And then this is the Excel file we are using today. So when you click on it, you'll be able to view it and then you can download it, right? So if I click, It's going to open in a new window like this for me, or a new tab, right? And if I click on the print, it's going to print it for me, but I don't want to print as a PDF. That's not what we are looking for. What I want us to do is you click on the three dots over here, then you select open in new tab, right? When you go to the new tab, you wait for it to load, and then you see this icon, download icon over here, right? And then you can download it, and then we can work with it. Or if you want, you can even work with it in the Google Sheet, right? But I always prefer we download it and work with it on the Excel software, right? Good. So let's do that, and then I'll go back to my Excel, and we can row, right? So over here, like I was saying, you are not supposed to work on the data straight away. You are supposed to copy the data and duplicate it in another sheet, right? Yesterday we talked about sheets that we can have more sheets as we want, as many as we want, right? Good. So we right click on the sheet containing our data, and then we go to move or copy, right? We have insert, delete, rename. We go to move or copy. We select that. I beg you, I know you can't see my pop-up, right? If I right click, it's supposed to show a pop-up. You can't see it, I know that, right? But if you are following me and you are doing as I am doing, you should see the pop-up, right? Yes, so if you are seeing it, just drop me a thumbs up. Let me know that my people are on the same track as me. Okay, just a thumbs up. Let me see, or I should go over it again. Just anything at all, just say it to me in the chat. I'm reading them. Okay, since I'm not seeing thumbs up, it means we are not on the same page. So I'll take it again, right? I'll take it again. All right, so I'm seeing that this is our, let me zoom in. Good. This is our data. When we download the sheet, right? This is our data that we'll be working with. And then at the top here are questions. We are not supposed to start working straight on this data, right? It's not a good practice, right? So what we do is we come to the name of the sheet, right, containing our data. Right now it is called education, right? Then I'll right click on it. I know you can't see my pop-up. I'm trying to solve that too as well. Maybe I'll find out one day, then we'll be able to see. But so far I've tried and tried and tried. I still haven't figured it out. So I right click. If you right click, you'll see a pop-up, right? And the pop-up, you see insert, delete, rename, and other options. The one we are looking for is called move or copy. You'll see an option called move or copy, and then you just select it. When you select it, it will open another pop-up, right? It will open another pop-up, and in that pop-up, we are supposed to select, you see some option called before sheet, right? You select the move to end, and then you see another checkbox. It says create a copy. You also take that checkbox, and then you click on OK. Once you do that, it will create the same sheet for you, right, but a copy of it. So what I'll do is, I don't want to leave us in the dark, right? So I will start all over again, and I will take a screenshot, right? Take a screenshot, and then I'll share the screenshot with us so that at least we see what I'm talking about, so that we are not in the dark. So I'm doing it all over again. I'll go for a snipping tool. I know you can't see this, but just bear with me a while. I'm trying to take a screenshot so that we see what is happening. So I'll take a screenshot. Good. And then go to move or copy. Then I'll take another screenshot. Yes. Good. So I have my screenshots. I'm going to share them so that we have a look at it. So I'll go to scene picture. Yes, some of you are asking me to go over it. So I'm trying to get the picture so that at least it will make sense. All right, so go here. Just a few moments. I've taken a screenshot, so let me open them up. It's very difficult when I'm just talking and you don't see what is going on. So I've taken my time. Yes, okay. I've seen the screenshot, and then I would share it with you guys. So window capture. Yeah, very good. So I believe we can see my screenshot now, right? So the one I'm interested in, right? So when you look at it, you would see let me see. Yeah, great. So you'd see when you right click, this is the pop-up that will appear, right? This pop-up is what will appear, and we are supposed to select move or copy, right? You just select move or copy, and then it will bring you to another pop-up like this, right? And then you just come and select move to end, right? And then you select this one, create a copy. You take that checkbox, then you click on OK, right? So let me go to this one again, right? So you right click, right, on the name of the sheet, right? It will bring you this small pop-up over here. Then you just select move or copy, right? Once you do that, it will bring you another pop-up. And then this one is, it will just show you the name of the workbook you are working with. Then it will show you the sheet, right, that will be selected or be right clicked. Now you just come to move to end. You select that and then you just come and check this box over here, create a copy, and then click on OK, right? Once you do that, we are good to go. So any thumbs up for me, in case we are on the same page, I beg you. Show me some thumbs up. Show me some thumbs up so that I know my people have sorted themselves out. Okay, one person. Very good, very good, very good, very good, very good. Well, I want to see more. There are more of us here. I don't want two of us to just do it. I want everybody to be able to follow. Should I go over again? Or we can move on? Okay, okay. One more thumbs up. Okay, so I believe you're okay, right? I'll just take it one more time and then we move on. Okay? All right. So I'm saying that this is our sheet, right? And this is our data. We are not supposed to work over here, right? We are supposed to have the question and then we create another sheet where we'll answer the questions, right? So on the question sheet, you just right click on it. When you right click, it will show you this pop-up, right? It will show you this pop-up. And then we just select move or copy, right? You just select move or copy. Once you select that, it will bring you to another pop-up, right? When it brings you that pop-up, you just come and select this move to end, you just select move to end, and then you come and check the last checkbox over here. You just select it, right? Once you finish, you just click on OK, and we are done, right? And we are done. I think someone says he's having problem with, let's see. If you have issues logging into the classroom, please let me know. Okay? You just let me know and then we try and solve it. Otherwise, you cannot get access to the materials we are using, right? Okay. So let's go back to our Excel now. Yes, I think the thumbs up are very good now. The thumbs up are very good. Okay. So let's move on. Okay. So we now have the question sheet and then we now have the answer sheet, right? So we can now go ahead and just delete these questions over because the questions are already here. So when we go to the answer part, we just select from here the first row to the last row containing the questions, right? We select all of them like this. Then we right click, and then we just delete them, right? We delete them and everything is gone. Now we have our work area. We can now start working on these ones, right? It's always good that when you are working on an Excel sheet, you have the raw data and then the answers that you do in another sheet, right? So that people will understand what you have done. You'll be able to follow that this data came all the way from here and then it got transformed to something very informative, right? Okay, so as you can see, our column headings, some of them are hidden. Look, we have students and then some of the text is hidden. We have Temale, SE, and some things are missing, right? So we have to adjust the length of our columns so that it will be able to show everything clearly for us, right? So we just bring our cursor to the border line between the two columns, right? So if, let's say I'm trying to enlarge this column, right? I'll bring my cursor to the border line between this column and this one. You see that the cursor will change to the double-edged arrow. Let me zoom in a bit. Yes. The cursor will change to the double-edged arrow, and then I just double-click, right? And then you see that it aligns perfectly. Now I see everything, student ID, right? The same way, if I want to do for column B, I'll bring my cursor to the line in between column B and column C. When it changes to the double-edged arrow, I double-click, and then it adjusts nicely for me, right? Okay, let's now try and start answering some of our questions over here. So as we are answering the questions, we are getting to learn more and more things. Okay, so we are supposed to format our work, right? Make it look a bit nicer, right? So we will give this whole thing a heading, right? So that if you open it, you know that, oh, this is what the data is about, right? So we'll use this whole place up to here. We just write our table heading over here, right? So to do that, we need to make all these columns as one. Right now, there are how many columns? 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, right? 5 columns. We have to make all of them one, right? We are going to merge everything as one, right? So first thing in formatting in Excel is always make sure you highlight or you select what you want to format, just like in Microsoft Word, right? Anything you want to format, you have to first of all highlight it. Right now, you are trying to format from column or cell A1 to cell E1, right? So that means you have to select all of them like this. That's one way of selecting. Another way of selecting is also just select the first column. You come to the last column, and then on your keyboard, you press and hold down the shift key, and then you select the last column, right? I'm going to do that again. I'll select the first cell I want to highlight. Then on my keyboard, I'll locate my shift key and press and hold it down, then come and select the last cell, right? Then it selects everything for me. Okay, this is especially useful when you have to select, for example, columns that are way longer down there, right? So yeah, I can just select this column G here, press and hold down my shift key, and then just go down and then probably come and select this, right? Instead of dragging all the way down, right? I can just select the first one, come down, press and hold down my shift, and then select the last thing I want to, and then everything is highlighted, right? Okay, so that's the different ways of highlighting a range, right? So this is a range, right? From cell A1 to E1. We want to merge it, right? So we go to make sure we are in the home menu, right? You should always make sure we're in the home menu. Then we locate this option over here, merge and center, right? And then we click on it. And then as you can see, all the 5 columns have now been merged as one, right? So if we write anything, we write something like Ghana Education Service, all capital, Ghana Education Service. You see that everything is acting as one, right? The whole cell over here is now one cell. It's not like 5 separate cells. It's just one now. We've merged everything, right? Okay. Same way, if you don't want to merge it again, you want to unmerge, you still select it, go back to the same place, right? And then you click on the drop down and then come and select unmerge, right? So as you can see right now, they are now back to their individual cells, right? Okay, so let me merge them back again. Or if I don't want to go through the same process, I'll just go to my quick access and then undo, right? And then I have everything back. Good. The next thing, let's try and then change the font size, right? So we select the cell and then we increase the font size. Let's see, I think 20 should be fine, right? We increase the font size and then we can change the fill color of the cell, right? When you come to the font tab, this bucket here is the fill color. What it does is that whatever color you pick from the drop down, it's going to use it as the background or the fill color for the particular cell you have selected, right? So as you can see, we have changed our cell fill color or the background of our cell, right? If I am rushing, you just let me know, okay? Let me know I'm rushing. Good. Once we do that, we can move on. Let's also change the fill color for cell A2 all the way to cell E2, right? So I'll select A2, come to here, press and hold down my shift and select cell E2. And then I go to my fill color and then I'll give it a lighter green. The first green is deep, so I'll give this one a lighter green. And then this is how it looks, right? If you look carefully, let me zoom in again. If you look carefully, you realize that when we change the fill color, the border line, okay, the border, you see that there are border lines, the grid lines, right? The grid lines are gone. It's now looking as if the whole thing is one cell, even though they are not one cell, right? So to make sure that our lines are showing clearly, right, we still select all our range, right? So from A2 to E2, right, we select all of them. And then in the font tab, right, in the font tab next to the fill color, this guy, this icon here is called the border, the border settings, right? So we just click on the drop down and we'll use it to bring some lines, right? to show some lines all around our thing so that it doesn't look like it's one long cell, right? So we can bring a line at the bottom, right? If you select bottom border, it will bring a line down here, right? If you select top border, it will bring a line on the top, and then the right will bring lines at the right, and then the left, right? Okay. If you also select the all borders, right, it will make sure to have borders all around the cells, right? So let's use the all borders, right? If you use no border too, I hope you understand what no border will do, right? Okay. So we select all borders, and you realize that once we did that, the lines or the grid lines, right, are now showing, right? So we now know that this is one cell, this one cell, this one cell, this one cell, right? Very good. Okay. So this is just formatting our work nicely. This looks much better than this, right? It looks way better. Okay. We can also change our font color, right? So wherever your font is, the cell that your font is, you can select it and then go to this one. This is the font color. This is fill color and this is font color. They are not the same thing. This one works on the text, right? So you can change the font color of your text to whatever color you want. I think white looks better, right? Good. Okay. So this is just a few formatting, right, that we have done. We can equally go on and even format all this section, right? All these ones can just format a bit of it, just some portion of it, and we go to let's say fill color, and you can choose to give it a light gray color or any color depending on what you are doing, right? So all these things usually they are at your own discretion depending on what you are doing. Maybe the people over here are somehow different from the people over here, right? You can use the color to distinguish your work, right? It's all up to you. You are the one in charge of it, right? But make sure whatever you're doing, it makes sense, right? Okay. So that is just in the way of formatting your work. Let's go to some of our functions now, right? Let's look at some of our functions. Good. So the first function, yesterday we looked at how to use the sum function, right? So today we'll not bother so much about the sum function. Let's look at the count, okay? We'll look at the count functions and how we can work with them. Okay, so let's say we want to know the number of students, all right? The number of students we have here. We want to know their number, okay? We can use the count function to get that information. So we can come to cell H2 and then we write something like number of students, okay? Number of students, right? Something like this. As you can see, oops, it has even given me a fill color, no problem. As you can see, it has overflown into the next cell, right? If that is a problem for you, you don't want that, you can always resize, right? You can always resize, or you just double click and then it aligns nicely. Okay, so number of students, and let's say you want to have the number of students showing in the cell H3, right? So function and formula, like we learned yesterday, they always begin with equal to, right? And we are going to count the number of students, right? So obviously we are going to use the function called the count, right? Now, we can use the count, but once you start writing the function, right, you realize that it will bring you a small pop-up of options, right? If you start writing any function at all, I beg you, if you are working with me, you should see this. Once you start writing, you see that a pop-up will come at the bottom, showing you a list of functions that are spelled exactly as what you have typed, right? Now, if you look at count, there is another, so whichever you select, right, you realize that it brings you some text trying to explain to you what the function does. Let me take a screenshot, right, so that I'll use it to explain. I'll not be talking in the airplane. Let's see, screenshot. Okay, right. Okay, that didn't work out. Okay. Once you start typing, you realize that a pop-up comes and it will try to explain to you what the function does. So when you look at the count, it says the count, then it counts the number of cells in a range that contains numbers. So if you want to use count, it means wherever you want to use the count, it should contain only numbers, right? But if you look at our student ID column, S1, S2, S3, S4, it's not a number, right? So if you use count, it will not work. But if you come to score, right, you see that the values here are numbers. So these ones, you can use the count for them. So how do we get these ones, the number based on a text, right? We have two types of the count. We have count, and then we also have count A, right? We also have count A. Count, the A stands for all, okay? So let me write this down so that we, oops, good. So we have count, and then we have count A, like this, right? The count counts the number of columns or cells, right? Cells that have numbers, right? So if you want to count these cells, they contain numbers, right? It can be able to count for you and give you the number of cells, right? But if you want to count cells that contain text or any other form of data type, right, you use the count A. The A stands for all, so just is like saying count all. The count all doesn't give priority to numbers, right? It counts anything. It counts all data types, right? Okay, so we can use that to count the number of students based on their index numbers, right? We can use it to count them based on their index numbers. So when we come here, we say equal to, then we do count A, right? Then it's asking us what and what and what and what and what are we counting, right? So we are counting everything in this column, right? In column A, okay? So we will select everything here, right? Is it that we do this, we drag it down like that, all the way down, right? To get everything, right? So as you can see, A3 all the way to A102, right? Then you close your brackets, you hit on enter, right? Hey, why is this showing me date? This is strange. Okay, so if you see it's showing me date, that is not what it's supposed to show me. The reason why it's showing me date is because of here, this part. If you remember yesterday, we looked at this side, right? You see that the data type is date. We don't need date, right? We only need numbers. So we come and select number, right? Then it's showing us 100. But even with the 100, it's showing us decimal places. We don't want that. So let's click and select. Is it fraction? Yes. When we select fraction, it gives us a whole number, right? So we now know that our students are 100 students, right? We have 100 students in this whole table based on their student IDs, right? We just counted their student IDs and then we realized that we have 100 students. Okay, so let me take that again. I'll take it again, and then we'll move on. So equal to, so counter, right, or count A or count all, right? Then it's asking us values. What are the values we want to count, right? So I'll select the first cell, which is cell A3, right? Then I can go all the way down, press and hold down my shift key, and then select the last item, right? Then you see that it's selected from cell A3 all the way to cell 102. Once I get that, I can close my bracket, and then I press on my enter keyboard, right? And everything looks perfect. So we now know we have 100 students in our table that we are going to be working with. Okay, so that is for the count all, right? We can equally count the number of scores, right? We can count the number of scores. Okay, so this time with the number of scores, because they are numbers, right? So let me make this one number of scores, right? Because these ones are, the scores are numbers, right? We don't have to use the count all. We can use it, but it's just advisable to use the count, right? Because the count is specially made for counting cells with values that are numbers, right? So we use the count, and then we indicate our range, right? So we select the D3, go all the way down, press and hold down the shift key, and then we select the last item, right? Once we do that, we close our bracket, we hit on our enter keyboard, then realize that we have 100 scores, right? So if I come here and I remove one score, realize that it is reflecting here. If I remove another score, it's still reflecting here, right? If I come to student ID and I remove a score, it reflects. If I come remove another, it also reflects, right? So that is the function. And you realize that yesterday we said that because we are not using the values, but rather we are using the cell names or the cell referencing, right? Anytime a change happens here, it will reflect in the function, right? So it's very important we know how to do our cell referencing, right? Okay, very good. Now let's go on to our next thing. So we've used our count all function, right? We've used our count all function, and we now know our number of students, right? The next one says we should use the average function to get the average student score, right? So these are our students, and they have some scores. We want to know their average score, right? We want to know their average score. The average is the same as I think it's the same as the mean score, right? We want to know the average score. So let's do that over here. So we write here average score, right? Align that nicely. Good. So the average score, we use the average function, right? We use the average function. So we just start by equal to average, and then you realize that when you start typing average, it will show you a list of functions that have average in them, right? We have average all, average if. So we use all of them. So let's not even worry at all. We use all of them. All right, so we have average. Now we want to know the scores. So the scores is in the D column, and it starts from cell D1, right? So we select cell D1, go all the way down, hold down my shift key, and then I'll select my last item. Oh, wow. How is it selecting? Oh, okay, I did a mistake. So I would clean, yes, and then I'll start all over again, all the way down, and then select this. Yes, very good. Close my bracket, hit on my enter, and our average student's performance or average student score is 66.2244. This is a lot, right? This is a lot of decimal places. It doesn't make sense, right? So let's run it up to, let's make it a whole number, right? So to do that, to run a decimal number up, come to your, make sure you're in the home menu, right? Then come to your number tab, and then just under the data types, right? You'll see these icons over here. This is for decreasing decimal places, and this is for increasing decimal places, right? So if I select the increasing, realize that it will add more decimal places, right? It will add more decimal places. But if I select the decreasing, it will reduce the decimal places for me, right? So let's reduce it all the way to a whole number, right? So now we know that on average, our students are scoring 66, right? Our students are scoring 66, which is not bad at all. It's above average, right? So that is a good score. In fact, it's above the pass mark. The pass mark says 50, right? So if they are getting 66, it means they are doing very well. Okay. All right. Our next thing we are looking at, let's look at who scored the least score. That is the mean score. Who scored the least score in the exams, right? We want to know who was the last person. Want to know who was the last. So we come here and then you just see the mean score. The mean score, right? Great. Then we start writing the formula or the function mean. Once you start typing, you see it in your drop down, you just double click on it, mean. And then which column are we going to use? You are going to the D column, and then it starts from D3, right? So we select D3, come all the way down, press and hold down the shift, and then select the last item, right? Good. We can now close our bracket and hit on our enter key, and it tells us that the person with the least score is 41, right? So when you go through, there's 42, but 42 is not the least, right? Or the mean. You can go through and find out who had that 41. Hey, where is the 41? Yes, here's the 41, right? Student 77 of Tamale Secondary. So sorry, and Tamale Secondary. Sorry. He had 41, right? Okay. Then let's go and look for, obviously, if we know the person who scored the least score, so we'll be interested in knowing who scored the most, right? So the max score, right? The max score. Then we write it over here, max score. All right, then we can start with our formula or our function, the max, right? So once you start typing max, you see it in your drop down, double click. And then the same process, right? The same process again. We go through the same thing. We close our bracket, hit on enter, and then 95 is our highest score, right? So 95. Let's see who scored 95. Yeah. Oh, okay. The person is in Accra Senior High School. Students 38, right? In Accra Senior High School had 95, right? And that is the highest score. Okay, so this activities I've done over here, right, is like the basic of the basic for any data scientist or statistician, right? Anytime you are given any data at all, go and they tell you go and analyze the data. These are like the basic things you go on the data, right? Just trying to make sense of the information over here, right? You're just trying to make sense of it. So this is the basic statistician activities, right? Okay, let's go on. Let's look at this side, the 50 50 50 50 50 score. I mean, the pass mark is just feature, so I don't know why we should have it printed plain down here like that, right? So we can just highlight everything with the exception of one. Let's just leave the first one and delete the rest, right? So we just highlight all these ones, right? Just with the exception of this one. We just need one of them. Highlight all these ones. We right click, right? And don't do delete. If you do delete, don't do delete. This time we just do clear content, right? When you right click, don't select delete, but rather select clear content, right? Then you realize that it just clears the content in the cells, right? Don't do delete. If you do delete, it will worry all these other things, right? Okay, so we just have the pass mark over here, right? The next thing we should look at from our data, let's look at how to filter, okay? Let's look at how to filter. Let's say somebody takes your work and they just want to know quickly who had 58. Quickly, they just want to know quickly who had 58, right? How do they do that, right? The best way to do that is for us to provide a filter for them to use, right? So that they can quickly filter through and then get to exactly what they are looking for. Okay, so to do that, to insert filters, we use the column headers, okay, to do the filtering. The column headers is what we use to do the filtering. Okay, so let's select all the column headings. So from cell A2 to cell E2. We will select from cell A2 to cell E2 like that. Then we go to data. Look in your menu bar. Look in your menu bar. We will go to data, right? We'll select data, the data menu. Okay. Then in our toolbar, we look for the sort and filter tab. The sort and filter tab. Mind you, every line in the toolbar, right, is a tab. It's called a tab, right? Just TAB, a tab, okay? Every line in the toolbar is called a tab. So we have the get external tab, get and transform tab, connections tab, sort and filter tab. And then every tab contains some tools in there, right? So data tools has some tools in there. Forecast tools has some tools, right? Okay, so those are the tabs. So in our sort and filter tab, we look out for the filter tool, right? This guy, the funnel. It's called the filter, right? So because we've already highlighted everything here, when we click on it, you realize that it will provide some box, right, on all the various column headings, right? Just what we selected, all the ones we highlighted, right? Good. Now, when we click on any of the boxes, the drop downs, right, we'll see all the data in the various columns, right? So this is the student ID column. When I click on the filter, it will show me all the ones, okay, the unique records, right? So that means S1, there's S1, there's S100, there's S whatever, all the various unique values, right? It will show me all of them in our filter, right? So let's say I come here, I'm looking for student S78, right? I don't have to go through, no, I can just come over here and then instead of choosing select all, I will uncheck the select all, right? Then I'll just go to student number 78 and select it and click on OK. Then you realize that I'm seeing only details of student 78. He went to Tamale Tech, he did science, and he had 75, right? So the filtering helps you to quickly filter out the things you don't need. leaving out only the things that you want to see. Okay, good. If you also want to see everything again, you just come back and select on all the filters, right? Select all. You click on OK and everything is back. Let's say you want to see all the student IDs, the students who do not have IDs, right? You want to see all of them, right? So you just come to the filter, you uncheck the select all, you scroll all the way down, then you see blanks, right? You select the blanks, you click on OK, and then it is showing all the students who do not have an ID. Maybe some mistake happened and their IDs got missing, right? Then you can quickly, if you are the one who is supposed to enter, then you can quickly correct that mistake, right? Good. So that is the use of the filter. Now, you can filter more than one column, okay? You can filter more than one. Maybe you want to see all the students who went to Tamale Secondary, right? So with that, you just come to the school column, right? Then, instead of selecting everything, you uncheck the select all. Then you select Tamale, right? Now you see all the students who went to Tamale, right? What if you want to see the students who went to Tamale, right? And had a score of, say, 70. You want to see all the students who went to Tamale and score 70, right? So that means you've done the Tamale already. You come to the score section, right? Or even before you go to the score, let's do the subject. You want to see all the students who did math, right? All the students who did math. So we have Tamale, all of them showing. Then we want to see all the people in Tamale who did math. So we come to the subject section, we click on our drop down, we uncheck the select all, and then we leave out just the math, right? And we click on OK. Now we know the students who went to Tamale and actually did math. We now know all of them, right? Now what if we want to know their number, right? Their number. All the students want to get their number. We can quickly come here and then say students who went to Tamale, right? And they did math, right? We can provide our score over here. How do we do that? We just count. We use the counter, the count all to count just these ones, right? So my equal to, then my count all, then I can now select all these guys, close my bracket, hit on enter, and it says 90. Whoa. It shouldn't say 94. Nope. That is not correct. That is not correct. Let's see, count all. Okay, so I understand what is happening. It is counting all the things that are not even showing, right? It is counting all the things that are not even showing. That is not good. No. That is not supposed to be. Okay, all right. That is not supposed to be. Right, okay. Anyways, I'll figure it out, right? I'll figure it out. Anytime I get challenges like this, I'll just do it and then I'll do a short video, or in our assignments, I'll show it how to do that, all right? So I'll figure it out and then we will move on. Okay, so right now we have filtered for Tamale students, and then within Tamale, we have filtered for all the ones who did math, right? So what about we want to see all the ones who had, say, scores above 80, right? Scores above 80. So we can come to the score section, and then we can uncheck all, uncheck the select all. we just move through, we realize that all the students who have anything above 80 starts from here, right? Then we can select that, we click on OK, and then realize that these are the students who went to Tamale and did math and had scores above 80, right? So that is how we can use the filter to quickly filter through our work, right? Okay. Let's also look at how to sort our things out, right? Okay, so let's remove the filtering. So let's show everything, right? Let's show all the students list. So we go back to score, we select all, we go back to subject, we select all, then we go back to school and we select all. Good. We are back to where we started. Then we can sort out based on either the values, if we are sorting out, we can sort out based on text or based on number, right? So let's say we want to sort out our students based on their score. We want to sort them out based on their score. We want to know who scored in ascending order. We want to arrange them in ascending order based on their score, right? So we can just come to column D, then we go to sort, right? We go to sort over here. Okay, let's close that. Let's go to either this or this, right? We have ascending. This is for from small to largest, so that is ascending. And then we have from largest to small, that is descending, right? So let's just use the first one. We click on it and then it says, it opens a pop-up, right? And then it's asking us, is this the only selection we want to use, right? What it's asking us is that, are we sure we want to use just column D? Or we want to include other columns, right? We want to just use column D. So instead of selecting the expand the selections, we rather go and select continue with the current selection. I'm taking it again, right? We want to sort our data out based on the student score in ascending order. So we just select the entire student, the score section, right? That is in column D. We select the entire thing. Then in our sort and filter tab, we go for our ascending order. That is from smallest to largest, right? We select that option. It will show us a pop-up. And then the pop-up is asking us that the selection that we've done, are we sure it is only column D that we are interested in? Or we want to expand to other columns, right? So if you look at it, you realize that the first thing is expand the selection. That is what has been selected. We will rather select the second option, continue with the current selection, right? And then we click on sort. And then it says to do this, all the merge cells need to, oh, okay, very good. It has brought up another pop-up, right? It has brought up another pop-up because we did some merging, right? So it's not going to work properly. So what we can do is, instead of selecting the entire column, we'll just select the cells with the numbers, right? Just limit our selection to the numbers. Because we used the rule 1, we did a merging on it, right? It is not behaving as we need it to behave, right? So just select only the scores, right? Just the scores. Then we go back to our ascending sort, right? We select continue with the current selection, and then we select sort, and then you realize that it has sorted our data from the smallest score all the way to the highest score. And then these guys who do not have score, it has brought them outside, right? It's like it's not even considering them because they are empty. Okay. Let me take it again. As usual, let me take it again. Now, at first I selected the entire column, right? But when I was doing it, it was telling me that because I had merged some cells, it is not going to be able to do that for me, right? So instead of selecting the entire column, I'll just come and select the cells that has the scores in them, right? Just the cell that has the scores in them. Then I go to my sort and filter tab again, and then I'll select my ascending or the descending. So this time, let me use the descending sort, right? From the largest to the smallest. I'll use the descending. Then it will ask me, are you sure this is the only selection, right, that you want to do, or you want to expand the selection? We don't want to expand to other parts, right? We only want to use the selection we have done. So we'll rather, instead of selecting the expanded selection, we'll rather select continue with the current selection, right? And then we'll click on sort. And then realize that it has sorted it according to the highest score all the way down to the least score, right? So that is how to do some sorting and filtering, right? Based on our data, right? So we can sort it according to score and all those things, right? And you can equally filter some of the things out. Okay, so we'll close down the curtains for today, right? We'll close for today and expect your daily activities from tomorrow, right? So from tomorrow, you get the alert that your first activity has been uploaded, and then you attend to it. Now we'll do this. Tomorrow we'll do one, Monday we'll do one, Tuesday we do one, and then we have our class on Wednesday, right? Then we'll drop Wednesday's one and continue like that. Saturday, all the way to Saturday. So every day there is something. Now, we are not going to be doing this from now all the way to Wednesday. No, I'll be adding some few things to it, right? Some few things. For example, some of the functions, there are a lot of formulas, right? A lot of functions not being touched on. I'll be adding some to the work, right? So what I'll do is I'll create short videos, right, on the things I haven't taught us yet, right, and add it, attach it to our assignment. So you just watch the video, then you just do the work. You watch the video, you do the work, right? So it's not everything. It's not like I'll be restricting our assignment to just today's lessons, right? We'll be building on top. Every day we build on what we already have. By the time we get to our 15th project, we are masters of Excel. Are we okay? All right, so we'll draw down the curtains here, okay? And we should expect our assignment from tomorrow. All right, so we'll continue in Discord and WhatsApp and then the various platforms, all right? Thank you. All right, since there are no questions, I didn't see any questions. I'm only seeing thumbs up. Yeah, I think we are good to go. Okay, so we'll meet, eh? Thank you. Bye-bye.